With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Secretary of State Pompeo meets today in New York with a top North Korean official as efforts to salvage the U.S.-North Korea summit accelerate. As of now, the meeting between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un is scheduled for June 12th, according to White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders.
The conversation is going to be focused on denuclearization of the peninsula. That's what these ongoing conversations taking place now will be centered on, as well as this summit that would take place in Singapore.
The president meets today with survivors of the deadly May 18th shootings at a Houston area high school. White House correspondent Greg Clugston says Mr. Trump will travel to Texas for the meeting.
The president is making stops in Houston and Dallas as part of a Republican fundraising swing through the Lone Star State. And the White House says he also will meet with the victims of this month's school shooting in Santa Fe that claimed the lives of 8 students and 2 teachers. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the president will personally offer his condolences and support.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott's newly unveiled school safety plan includes dozens of strategies designed to make the schools more secure. Governor says he had a lot of help drafting the plan.
Everybody is galvanized together to make sure that we begin to put together strategies that will ensure that we will be able to better protect our schools.
Also at SRNnews.com, the fatal shooting of a sheriff's deputy. It happened during a traffic stop, sparked a manhunt in Dixon County, Tennessee. Police say they're searching for Stephen Wiggins. Sears planning to close 72 more of its stores, and even possibly more than that, after reporting a $424 million loss in the first quarter. On Wall Street right now, Dow futures are down 17 points, NASDAQ futures up 8 points. This is SRN News. Franklin Graham is touring California these days.
He's preaching the gospel and urging Christians to get involved in politics during his series of one-day events in 10 cities. On Facebook, Graham says, quote, "We need Christians to run for school boards and elected offices and stand for biblical values. I believe if Christians would vote in every election, it could make a huge difference." Next up, Santa Clara, Berkeley, and Chico. The tour ends in Redding next Tuesday. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
The soon-to-be governor of Missouri shares his predecessor's conservative views on many social issues. Mike Parson will automatically ascend from lieutenant governor to governor tomorrow when Eric Greitens steps down. Parson is a strong pro-life advocate, opposes the homosexual agenda, and has enjoyed the National Rifle Association's endorsement in his 2016 campaign. He is a Baptist, once told the Missouri Times that he thinks those with a religious objection to participating in gay marriages should be protected. SRN News. It is a touchy issue in the seat of the Confederacy. A panel studying what to do with Richmond, Virginia's most prominent Confederate monuments has been given another month to issue its report.
The commission, convened last year by Richmond Mayor LeVar Stoney, was expected to submit its recommendations for Monument Avenue by this Thursday. But a post on its website says the deadline is now rescheduled for July 2nd. The commission formed last year. Commission members are weighing the future of the monuments in Richmond, the former capital of the Confederacy.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart. The Manhattan District Attorney says an indictment against disgraced Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein on sexual assault charges brings him another step closer to accountability. Weinstein charged in connection with 2 alleged attacks on women in New York. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, Steve Harvey here for the Illinois Broadcasters Association, and in a recent survey, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency was asked to name the top 5 items that every Illinois family needs to have in their home's emergency disaster kit. Check out these answers. Water, can't live without it. Number 2, non-perishable food. Well, after all, a man gotta eat, right? Number 3, weather radio, and make sure you got fresh batteries too. Number 4, flashlight. Even more reason to have fresh batteries on hand. Number 5, first aid kit. Look, there's no reason to feud over what items to put in your family's emergency disaster kit. Get the answers and more at ready.illinois.gov. That's ready.illinois.gov.
Sponsored by the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, May 31st, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.50 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,302 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $30, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,569. Antiwar.com reports U.S. Commander General John Nicholson reported on Wednesday that a group of militants who attacked the Afghan Interior Ministry in downtown Kabul were actually wearing U.S. Army uniforms and driving a Humvee in an attempt to bypass checkpoints. This might well have worked, except that this was actually an old Army uniform pattern, a fact which was noticed by the checkpoint guards. This led to a skirmish, and one of the attackers used an explosive vest in the attack. All 8 attackers were killed, while 1 Afghan soldier was killed and several were wounded. The use of captured U.S. uniforms is a long-standing tactic of militant groups in nations like Afghanistan, where long-term U.S. military presence means a lot of such gear is available. 17 years of U.S. presence in Afghanistan means multiple generations of camouflage have been used there. General Nicholson expressed concern that Afghan troops seeing people wearing U.S. uniforms and driving a U.S. vehicle might hesitate, but that immediate engagement was exactly what the Afghan forces were supposed to do. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports President Donald Trump signed controversial legislation on Wednesday that allows terminally ill patients to bypass federal regulations in seeking experimental treatment. The Right to Try legislation allows patients with life-threatening conditions to obtain medication that has not yet been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It allows patients to ask pharmaceutical companies for medication that has passed Phase 1 of FDA approval but is still undergoing testing. The law stipulates that patients must have exhausted other options, and the pharmaceutical companies are under no obligation to actually provide the drugs. The Senate passed the bill last year, and it cleared the House last week. Critics say the law undermines the FDA's authority and can lead to patients taking harmful medications. The FDA already has an expedited program in which seriously ill patients can apply for access to experimental treatments. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said 99% of those requests are approved. After signing the legislation, Trump pointed out that patients had to travel to another country, another continent to seek treatment, adding that the United States has experimental treatments and products that have shown great promise, and we weren't able to use them. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports molten rock from several lava-spewing fissures opened by Kilauea's volcano crept towards clusters of homes and vacation rentals on the eastern tip of Hawaii's Big Island on Wednesday as authorities ushered residents from the area as a precaution. Evacuation of the vacation land development and adjacent Kapoho community, rebuilt after a destructive eruption of Kilauea in 1960, came on the 28th day of what geologists rank as one of the biggest upheavals in a century from one of the world's most active volcanoes. Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency issued the advisory as lava flows picked up speed late on Tuesday and early on Wednesday and threatened to cut off a key traffic route into the seaside area of the far eastern flank of the volcano. On Tuesday, the lava stream crossed a larger east-west route, Highway 132, as it advanced towards Kapoho. A separate flow of red-hot molten rock was headed in the direction of the vacation land Hawaii community to the south. Civil defense officials also cited the problem of widespread communication outages in the area due to downed power and phone phone lines, reinforcing the decision to proceed with evacuation plans immediately rather than wait for a potential emergency. The new evacuees join some 2,000 residents displaced due to lava flows and toxic sulfur dioxide gas emissions at the outset of the eruption nearly 4 weeks ago. More than 40 homes and other structures have been consumed by lava flows since then. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Simplicity and ease is what you get when you host your podcast with Audio Boom. You can post up to 5 episodes per month, you get unlimited storage, and 500 minutes of recording time for each episode. Plus, advanced analytics, embeddable players, distribution of your podcast via Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Savin, Spotify, and Stitcher. Pending approval by each platform. Right now, you can sign up for Audioboom's $9.99 monthly subscription plan and get your first month free by using promo code BOOM. That's BOOM for 1 month free of hosting and distribution. Sign up for our $9.99 monthly subscription plan today.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. President Trump travels to Texas today to visit with families of the Santa Fe High School shooting. 10 people were killed there 2 weeks ago. A young reporter asked spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders about school violence yesterday at a White House briefing, and she said the administration's got a school safety commission this week meeting to try to figure out
how we can do every single thing within our power to protect kids in our schools and to make them feel safe and make their parents feel good about dropping them off.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a top North Korean official will meet in New York today to try to save a planned nuclear summit between President Trump and North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. In the North Carolina mountains, a landslide following days of rain is being blamed for a gas leak that destroyed a home, killing the 2 people who were inside of the home. Sears will close another 72 stores as sales plunge and losses grow. I'm Rita Foley.
Simplicity and ease is what you get when you host your podcast with Audio Boom. You can post up to 5 episodes per month, you get unlimited storage, and 500 minutes of recording time for each episode. Plus, advanced analytics, embeddable players, distribution of your podcast via Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Savin, Spotify, and Stitcher. Pending approval by each platform. Right now, you can sign up for Audioboom's $9.99 monthly subscription plan and get your first month free by using promo code BOOM. That's BOOM for 1 month free of hosting and distribution. Sign up for our $9.99 monthly subscription plan today.
They were outnumbered, out-equipped. They had no chance of winning, but they had one huge advantage: General George Washington.
The fate of unborn millions will now depend, under God, on the courage and conduct of this army. We have to resolve to conquer or die.
Just as the leadership of one man helped form a nation, today leadership can transform the world. Leadership is in you. Now pass it on from passiton.com.
From CBC News, it's The World This Hour. I'm Joe Cummings. It's possible stiff U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum could go into effect as of this morning. The U.S. recently granted Canada an exemption on the tariffs because of the ongoing NAFTA talks, but that exemption expires today. Lindsay Duncombe has more now from Washington.
From the beginning, this was seen to be a bit of a tactic, a way for Donald Trump to use the threat of the steel and aluminum tariffs to force trade conditions or more favorable trade conditions for the United States from its allies. And when it comes to Canada and Mexico, that means NAFTA negotiations. And seeing as that appears not to have happened, we're now in a position where we're facing this midnight deadline. However, this is not a done deal. One official quoted quoted in Politico this morning, believes that there's a 75% chance that these tariffs could come into effect. But it is also possible that any language associated with the statement from the White House today could allude to further negotiation. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
The White House's decision on the Canadian tariff exemption is expected later this hour. Now, the threat of U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum are obviously complicating the ongoing NAFTA negotiations. But former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien is saying that NAFTA will survive regardless of any action taken by the U.S. president.
Trump said it's the worst deal we ever made, and it's gone in a month. Remember? It's still there. Why? Because it's good for them. It's based on agriculture, and they sell a big part of the produce to the damn Mexicans. Of course it will survive. It will have to be modified. And I'm telling you, if we change one comma, Mr. Trump would say it is the biggest victory that the Americans ever had. And we say, yes, sir, Monsieur Trump.
That's former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien in conversation with Anna Maria Tremonti this morning on The Current. An agreement in principle has been reached to restore rail service to Churchill, Manitoba. The Trudeau government and a consortium of northern communities are among the partners buying the washed-out rail line, which is Churchill's only land link. Some are calling it a clever ploy to root out an assassin. Others say it's a major blunder that feeds the Kremlin's propaganda machine. At issue is Ukraine's staged murder of Russian journalist Arkady Babchenko. Chris Brown has more from Moscow.
Russia's Kremlin-friendly newspapers are portraying the bizarre stunt as a win for their side. No one anywhere, they say, will believe anything Ukrainian authorities say anymore. Several Russian papers compared Babchenko's story to that of former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia, who Britain accuses Russia of poisoning. Both miraculously recovered, so maybe that was faked too. Ukrainian parliamentarian Svetlana Zaleschuk agrees her country's credibility has been damaged, but maybe it was worth it.
If it what took them to find those people who ordered the murder, then probably we should have paid this price.
Meanwhile, groups that monitor the safety of journalists insist there could never be a good excuse for lying, saying the next time a journalist who's critical of Russia's government is threatened or killed, it will be harder to take the crime seriously. Chris Brown, CBC News, Moscow.
A recently unearthed painting by one of Canada's most beloved artists, Tom Thompson, sold at auction in Toronto last night for nearly $500,000. Remarkably, the painting made it to the auction block after sitting for years in the basement of Glenna Gardner's home in Edmonton.
I can't believe it. It's all been a bit of a fairy tale, to have a painting be famous and then to sell for that much.
Gardner says she had no idea the painting was valuable. She'd even given it away to a friend who gave it back after learning it was a real Tom Thompson. Gardner is thanking that friend by taking her on a Mediterranean cruise. And that is The World This Hour. I'm Joe Cummings.
Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
And oh, was Benjamin Franklin wise. So you actually think electricity can pass through metal? Ha! Ben Franklin, go fly a kite.
Excellent idea. Where are my keys?
Besides the bifocals, Ben invented the Franklin stove,
the
odometer, oh, and the lightning rod. Ingenuity, pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
This is Betty White. I know you don't need one more thing to worry about, but listen, high blood pressure can cause kidney damage, blindness, heart attack, stroke, and you can have high blood pressure even if you feel all right. 1 in 7 adults has it, but it's easy to get your blood pressure checked, and you can treat it if it is too high. So don't worry about it, don't ignore it, just see your doctor and check it out.
For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
I'm John Stashauer. Everybody talking about Braden Holtby's save with 2 minutes left in Game 2 last night in Las Vegas, stopping Alex Tuck from tying the game and preserving a 3-2 Washington victory. First ever for the Capitals in the Stanley Cup Final. Holtby made 37 saves in all.
These boards have been really true all the time, and somehow it bounced out. Got me a good play. And
that's hockey sometimes. I think we obviously a couple breaks didn't go our way last game with penalty calls and open net, that type of thing. And if you keep doing the right things, that goes your way. And that was just one of those things that if you keep working hard as a team, those things will go good.
Caps fell behind, but then scored 3 straight, including Alex Ovechkin on the power play and Brooks Orpik, who hadn't scored in 220 consecutive games. Second home loss of the postseason for the Golden Knights. They've yet to lose 2 games in a row as they get ready for Game 3 Saturday in Washington. Caps may not have Evgeny Kuznetsov, their leading scorer in the postseason. He injured his arm last night. Here we go with Game 1 of Act 4, Warriors and Cavs for the 4th straight year in the NBA Finals. Cleveland a big underdog because they've got LeBron, but not much else. Steve Kerr asked if the Cavs are a one-man team.
We know what these guys can do. You don't get to the finals with one man, no matter how good that one man is. So we have great respect for the Cavs, their resiliency, the fact that they're here 4 years in a row. We know exactly how hard that is. We're preparing for a lot more than just LeBron, that's for sure.
Kerr won't have Andre Iguodala with a knee injury. Kevin Love, a game-time decision, concussion protocol. Pirates beat the Cubs 2-1, scoreless after the second inning. Milwaukee still in first place, 3-2 win over St. Louis. Mets a 4-1 win in Atlanta. Washington shut out Baltimore 2-0 behind Max Scherzer. Struck out 12, went to 9-1 on the year. Dodgers 8-2 over the Phillies. San Diego 2 in the ninth to beat Miami 3-2. NBC Sports Radio.